Watch this video, then let's talk.
I just saw a post. It wouldn't let me stitch it, but I get irrationally angry. I feel like whenever I see them people on these podcasts talking about how men will do the right thing for the right woman, because I think that's asinine. Like that's an asinine ideology. It implies that a lot of men are able to do the right thing and simply not willing to treat certain women with respect. I don't understand if they realize what that implies about these men. Not to mention, it's not true. Some of these men are literally not capable of healthy communication because they're not doing any work to break through toxic cycles. How can you be engaging in unhealthy cycles, sleeping with people that you don't like, not practicing healthy communication, and then one day wake up and think that you're going to be able to do all of those things for the right person? Not to mention, it implies that men do not lose out on the women they like, and that's not true. There are a lot of men sitting around wishing that they had been better because they lost out on women that they cared about. They couldn't do right by them. They didn't know how to because they had never done right by anybody before. Be for real.
She shared a word and a half today, and I had to bring out the handy dandy notebook because I've got some things. Got some things that I would like to discuss from this. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering men, child-free living. I'm also trying to talk a little bit more about travel on here. I recently moved to the Canary Islands. It's a vibe. It's interesting and it's a vibe. So if any of that sounds like something that you're interested in, please like, share, subscribe, all of that great stuff. And now let's dive in. So first I would like to start off this discussion with a little metaphor, right? So let's say that you are on a road trip. It's just you. You're on a road trip and you're driving your car and it's doing pretty good, and then you hit a pothole. You hit a rock, you hit a something, and it messes up your car. Axles are flying all over the place. I don't know car talk. It's bad. It's real bad. You're able to like pull over to the side of the road and you're looking at it. And one of two things happen. One, either you have a lot of knowledge about cars. You've done your work. Whether it's like you had an uncle that just kind of pulled you aside and said, hey, look, kid, this is what's going on under the hood if something happens, and this is what you do, or whatever, right? Maybe you went to school for this, right? So either you're that person or somebody like me. No understanding about what cars, how they work. I point and I say, I think that's the engine, right? You're one of these two people. First person goes because they have the skill set and they're able to fix what needs to be fixed enough so that way they could get to somewhere that has like the actual tools to help them get from point A to point B. Best case scenario, they fix the entire thing. And then you continue off on your road trip. Next, if you're me, I'm not just gonna blink. I'm not just gonna pray. And then all of a sudden, I have all of the skills needed to fix my car. No. Either you have the skills when the time comes, or you don't. So let's take that metaphor and remember, let's just pin it. We're gonna pin it right here by that little nubbin. We're gonna pin it. And let's remember that some men cannot do better. They cannot do better. The whole idea of like, if he wanted to, he would. I know it's a fun thing that we say. I've said it on here a couple of times, but this creator is right. Like, it's a fun thing to say. And for some guys, it's true. But also, if he never had the skills to fix the car, how could he? To read from the handy dandy, they literally have not developed the part of their brains necessary for better relationships. Sometimes it can just be as you can use the medical vernacular. If it is an underdeveloped part of your brain, of your neurology, you can't they can't. It's not if they wanted to, they can't, right? And that doesn't just apply to their romantic relationships, though we do see that most obviously. That also shows up in friendships. Being able to handle a good friendship, you're going to have some hard conversations. A good friendship you can't gaslight your way into or out of. A good friendship requires openness, vulnerability, empathy. A good friendship requires an understanding of an experience outside of your own. These are all practical skills that are developed within the brain that show up as behavior. And if you don't have the skills, then it's going to show up in all of your relationships. Now, the thing that concerns me most are the people that don't have those skills, reproduce, and now they are parents without those skills. And now you're raising the next generation of people with skills that you don't even know you don't have. Yikes. Point number 2 on here, men would rather be seen as cruel than unequipped. Cruel is we choose to treat women badly. You're not the kind of woman that I would want in my social circle, as my wife, as my girlfriend. I don't like you particularly, so I will treat you bad. Men would rather hold on to that idea of themselves, of their idea of a natural cruelness of men that they could just turn on and off like a switch, right? They would rather hold on to that than say, we don't have the tools necessary to treat women better. Yeah, just let that sink in. Because the truth is, if you are unequipped, you can become equipped. You can get the equipment to move from unequipped to equipped. But that does require an openness of saying, I do not have it. I need help. I don't know. I'm lost. Help. And the pride of the patriarchy, it cuts a lot of men, it blocks their throat. It stops them from being able to articulate that base. And but that also does require some skills. That requires good communication. Which goes back to what I said a little bit earlier. Sometimes they don't even know what they don't know. They feel the energetic confusion and then they lash out at women about it. But at the end of the day, it's misplaced anger. And my last thing on here, when she was talking about men lose out on good women all the time, that's why they always circle back. And if they have not circled back, not when I say all, I mean like necessarily every man that you've ever dated is going to circle back. But a lot of them do. And sometimes it's wild, but sometimes it's years later. I had a man circle back recently and I haven't spoken to him in 6-7 years, something like that. And he has a whole girlfriend now. I just said block. Booga. Booga. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about my situation, right? The guy that did the recent circle back, it was a mix of he didn't have the skills. And I think he thought that I was always going to some kind of way be around. And I gave a pretty significant, I was like, listen, this relationship, this friendship, this whatever it is right now is not cutting it for me. So I'm going to go. I wish you nothing but the best. But Shayna, like, I still have your stuff, but I don't even care anymore. And I don't want to give you my address. So no. And with this, I want to share this line that I think is a banger. You be the judge of that. Let me know in the comments. Learning a new skill is easy compared to breaking a pattern. Learning a new skill is easy, relatively, right? Like, as a child, you can learn to communicate effectively. As a child, you can learn how to be a good friend. As a child, you can learn a lot, especially in like the first 3 years of life, particularly in the first 2. Like, we learn more in that definitely first year, but I think it's scientifically speaking, I think it's the first 2 years of life that we connect more neurons in our brain than at any other point in our lives, right? So it's relatively easy to learn a new thing, even after that point of life. But breaking a pattern, especially breaking a bad habit, let's talk about it. So let's just talk about communication real quick. So we talked about how kids have the ability to learn to become good, efficient communicators, right? Now, let's say that there's that on one side, but then on the other side, let's say that there becomes a habit of blaming somebody else, right? Where it's did you eat the cookie? My sister ate the cookie. Sister didn't eat the cookie. Sister ate the cookie. Did you do your homework today? I was going to, but the teacher did the blah, 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 whatever. Or I was going to, but then the dog ate it. You don't have a dog, right? So there's that on the other side. To break this requires a litany of skills, right? To break it and then to reconstruct into a good habit, right? Into efficient communication. What do we have to break down? We have to break down a lack of accountability. We have to break down, sometimes gaslighting can come into this. Did you eat the cookie? No, but you have the cookie on your mouth, so I thought that maybe I could have the cookie on my mouth. Sometimes. Got to take that into consideration. Directness. Not talking around a thing, saying exactly what you mean. Lying has to be broken down, right? The list can go on. And then once that is broken down, then you have to bring in another set of skills, which are you breaking down the negative to put in the positive, which is, okay, how do we take accountability, truthfulness, honesty, embracing the unknown. You don't know how somebody's going to react when you tell them the truth, but you should tell the truth, right? There's a lot more work that goes into breaking a bad habit than there is to just learning a new skill. So a lot of these men out here have lived in their bad habits for decades. Some of them generational. And we're just expecting them to do what? Now, generally, when it comes to these kinds of deeply rooted, ingrained bad habits, unfortunately, most of the time, the thing that's going to break the bad habit or that's going to create a jolt enough for the person to say, oh my God, something needs to change is trauma. Something earth-shattering generally has to happen for them to say, this is not serving me. I need to experience something else. My worldview has shifted entirely. So I need to shift something foundational about myself to reorient myself, to find my footing in this new experience that I have right now of my own reality. Trauma, and generally. Outside of that, and now that can be a personal trauma, that can be a global trauma, right? I think that for a lot of people that are watching what is going on in Palestine right now and how students are reacting to their universities, funding a genocide, funding war manufacturing, weapons manufacturing, all of the APAC, all of this, right? There are a lot of people that are learning or that are experiencing a global trauma, not just in Palestine, but also you have the Congo, you have Tigray, you have Sudan, you have what's going on in Haiti. There's a lot of sadness everywhere, right? We should be having an eyes wide open moment that if we're going to have discussions that are going to lead to actual growth, actual change, we're going to need to learn how to discuss with each other, which means that the people that were bad communicators, if they are feeling what needs to be felt and encouraged within themselves to do the work that needs to be done, they will be learning how to communicate efficiently if they did not before. I'm seeing a lot of young people, college students, that are being interviewed at the encampments at universities of all genders. And I'm noticing that a lot of the young men, mind you, they're not like picking and choosing a lot of the young men now, and I don't know who they were before, but the skill set, the articulation to be able to talk about what needs to be talked about with directness, with certainty, with conviction. It is very encouraging to see, and I'm wondering if this global trauma that we are experiencing is helping those who want to be a positive change realize, if they had not had it up before. I do not know the young men that have been interviewed. I don't know them personally. But it is very encouraging to see the ones that are developing the skills, that are nurturing the skills, the ones that are creating community because of their valued skills, their community building, enriching, personal life enriching skills. So these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. I'm very behind, but I will get to them as soon as I can. Okay, that is all for now. Bye.